Charles Manson is burning in hell. The self-proclaimed American Nazi, future leader of America, the man that thought the blacks would take this country over, but be so stupid that they needed him to run it. Now we're going to go through all the Charles Manson theories, starting with the first, where they say that he sent men to Polanski's house to kill Sharon Tate and all those guys. Now he vehemently denies it. He says, no, I did not do this. I wasn't there. How could I go to jail for something I wasn't even there for? You see that? That's just like the JFK video I was telling you about. How they put compelling arguments on each side. Yes, these are the guys from his camp. But did he send them to do that? I wonder why they do that. See, to me, the whole Charles Manson, which was built as the trial of the century, I don't know how many trials of the century they'll have, you know. They had one in the 20s, one in the 30s, one in the... Every decade has had a trial of the century. But this is one of the first trials that sent ratings through the roof. Everybody was watching. And it played out like a well-plotted script. Mass deception everywhere. Now let's go with the story. Charles Manson was in and out of juvenile halls. He was beaten severely by his stepdad, so the tale tells. One of the last times he got out of jail, he decided to turn some poetry he was writing into songs. So he frequented the same spots of your local artists and everything like that. But it gets a lot deeper than just that. The timing that he was released, the timing that he came out. And we'll get into that a little bit later. So, what happens is, he supposedly gets deep into LSD and was reading mind control books. And he would get his people off acid and tell them the filthy lie that that devil was Christ himself, and they would believe it off that acid. He was said to manipulate everybody. He had the women under his control, thus controlling the men. Now this is Charles Tex Watson, the man that actually did the murders. I am the devil, and I'm here to do the devil's work. Well, you ain't lying. You are doing the devil's work with this mass deception. Now this goes a lot deeper than what a lot of people think. Now let's talk about the Manson family. These blindless, clueless people that supposedly followed Charles Manson wherever he went and did whatever he said. Now they wrote a bunch of stuff on the wall after killing Sharon Tate, stabbing her through her pregnant belly. Now, a lot of people believe the story is a hoax. A lot of people believe the story is real. But one thing is for sure. This is still the devil's work, whether it was a false story or it was a real story. Because they're still promoting mass deception and doing as the devil does in deceiving. Now let's talk about Laurel Canyon. This is the place found itself nexus of counterculture activity and attitudes of the mid-late 1960s and early 1970s, becoming famous as home to many LA rock musicians such as Frank Zappa, Jim Morrison of the Doors, Carole King, The Byrds, Buffalo Springfield, Canned Heat, John Mayall, members of the band. Now, Laurel Canyon exploded the same time Charles Manson came. They go hand in hand. And overnight in LA, all these hippie bars, see, they tell you it was San Francisco, but the original place the hippies place started was Los Angeles. And overnight, these gusts of new dance crazes and new sounds started coming out. Now let's look at Sharon Tate, and this is her sister Deborah Tate. Now, a lot of people will say, of course they look similar because they are sisters. But I must give you all the evidence. So what I'm doing is using you as the jury. I'm giving you the evidence. And I would like to know what you think happens. But I will give my piece towards the end. So in the comments, let me know what you think's happened. Is this really Sharon Tate? Now, let's talk about this guy who they have been after. They called him a child abuser, they called him a molester, and all this may be true. But there's some fishy suspicions about some of the work that he was doing, and we'll get into that in just a few seconds. But the man was supposedly have put sleeping pills in a 13-year-old. Now this is the man that had Sharon Tate, but he has to put sleeping pills in other females. That just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense. Here he is with Harrison Ford, and one thing you'll see is them demon horns being hit up. But I believe the problem they had with Polanski Roman was just that he was giving up too much information. Now he had a lot of movies, but one of his breakout movies, one of his big movies for the time, which I would suggest anybody to go watch if you really want to know what's going on in Hollywood, is Rosemary's Baby. Now this story is about an actor who could not make it in Hollywood no matter what he did. So he was approached by somebody to sell his soul. And one of the things he had to do was sacrifice his unborn child. That's what this story is about. And there's some people who have moved in next door to them, an elderly couple that's from the Church of Satan, that's acting like they're all friendly with them, but they want them to give their child to the devil. That's what this is about. And it's just real suspicious that after that happens, that this whole Sharon Tate murder stuff happens, and his baby is thrust through with a knife. But there's still other stuff. Like, how was he able to escape America as famous as he was, and he was wanted for rape, he was wanted for molestation, and he escaped America never to come back? I think he told everybody what it means to be in Hollywood. That was a warning to those trying to get in Hollywood, because you have to know to sacrifice yourself. You have to know to give yourself to the devil. Ain't no being tricked and giving yourself to the devil. Fret not thyself because of evil men, neither be envious of the wicked, for there shall be no reward for evil men, and the candle of the wicked shall be put out. Just like Charles Manson's candle was put out, and Polanski's candle, if it ain't put out now, is on the verge of being put out. All these people will have to answer for what they do. Proverbs 7:15. He that justifieth the wicked, and he that committeth the just, even they both are abomination to the Lord. All praises to the Most High. And if you want to know my verdict, I believe it was all staged to end the hippie movement, to make it seem like the people against their money machine, Vietnam, were crazy and out of their mind and murderers. There's always an agenda. Now, stick to the Bible, it will serve you well. But as far as Charles Manson, he's burning in hell.